Question: who's in agreement that food in the freezer can be like money in the bank? Back in a minute. Hi, this is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. We're going to talk about precisely things like that. Here is a tip that has worked for me. This is when I had a bigger family with me. Everybody's grown up, and you know how that goes. What I used to do in the beginning of the month, I made it a habit to do this in the first week of the month, as close to the first of the month as possible. I would hit the grocery store with the pedal on the metal, put it that way. And I would shop and plan for 31 meals. Now, to some people, this may sound overwhelming, but I used to love to know that food in the freezer is money in the bank. Now, when I say 31 meals, I don't mean that there's just eating one meal a day. No, 31 sources of protein. Okay. But did I actually buy 31 different sources of protein? No. I worked with the same basic group every single month. For example, ground beef, chicken, occasionally pork for other family members. I'm not a huge pork person. Not that it's bad for you or anything. I'm just one of those things. Of course, they're banging outside. Fish. Okay, basically, those were the proteins that I worked with. But here's what I did, and it is simply a matter of math. And if you could apply this method to your shopping, no matter what you have planned aside for saving money for shopping, this method works. If you can't do it on the 31-day thing, you can try to do it for the 14-day thing. You split it in half. All you concentrate on is getting 15 different meals that can be multiplied by 2. And better still, if you could take a weekend or 2, or whatever time you have off, or a rainy afternoon, whatever you want to do. Personally, I find those kind of things relaxing to do. I used to like to batch cook, for example. But getting back to the original plan, we know that every single month has a maximum of 31 days. There is no such thing as a 32-day month. Now, some months may go to 28. One month, every X number of years goes to 29. Can't worry about that. So what I like to do is think in terms of 30 or 31. So then you sit down and you write down 15 different meals that you could make that can be doubled. This is not only a guaranteed time saver, but it is a guaranteed money saver. And another thing, if you happen to be a family of just 1 or 2, and you happen to see these huge family packs of meat, you could still get them. You divide them up. And that's my next tip. Buy the family packs of meat or chicken, whatever. Sit down at the beginning of the month or whenever you decide your food cycle begins. For me, it was the beginning of the month. I would literally sit down, my husband and I, we would sit down and wrap up meat together, put it away for the month. I never lived with like a basement that had a full freezer of meat. Even when I had a house, I still didn't do that. I only concerned myself with the freezer on top of the refrigerator. Should there ever be a power failure or a disaster for a while, whatever, even if that meat goes badly, I'm still not wasting a lot of money. So have no fears in that area. So we're concentrating only on the freezer that works on top of your refrigerator. For example, you could buy a family pack of chicken legs, chicken drumsticks, for example. Let's say that there's 12 drumsticks in that pack. But for the meals that you make, you may only need 3 of those drumsticks. That means you get 4 meals out of the 15 that you need to include for the whole month. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange. So, what I'm going to do is write down in the description box below just a short paragraph to keep it in check so it's easier to understand. But I can tell you this much, it is guaranteed that food in the freezer is like money in the bank. All right, so here are some more tips and tricks. Buy multiple use foods. Yes, that's correct. If you're going to buy an expensive steak, God bless you for it. But if you're going to buy a single use steak and you're really trying to save a single use steak, or single type of foods, think twice. Or use that same single serve steak and perhaps get a little something out of it to generate another meal. Every meal you make, if you could generate another meal, you're better off. For example, here's another thing. We tend to buy sometimes frozen meals one at a time. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a single serving of a frozen meal in your freezer, but let's consider manufacturing. I know I use that word a lot, but let's think of ourselves as CEOs of our own kitchens, if you will, because effectively we are the executive officers of our kitchens and our freezers, etc., and our pantries, aren't we? So who's to stop anybody from creating their own frozen individual meal out of a batch cooking session? You will be surprised and amazed how much time you could save. Sometimes people think you're not necessarily saving some money. I believe you are. But keep in mind, another precious commodity, actually more important than actually money, is time. Because once you lose it, you don't get it back. So if you could save an hour here or there, we're in the middle now of the middle of the school year, and the weather can be yucky, and maybe it's taking you a little longer to drive home, and then you get home tired with the kids, and the temptation is to go like this: get the old phone and make that phone call. But if you have savings goals and you'd prefer to save that $10 tip, for example, then you have this stuff already, your favorite meals. Make the stuff you like, make it exciting, do the things you like to do, but put them away. And that is one of my biggest tips, because I really believe that food in the freezer really is money in the bank. It's also fun when you plan those meals in the beginning of the month. Who agrees with me? That's kind of fun to just know where you're going with the stuff. All right. Okay. So, right. I'm encouraging on another point that I've written down to invest into those little plastic wares with the divided containers. Those are great. Just pop them in, heat them up. If you don't have that, just put them in your usual plastic containers. You really do have to enjoy being a little bit of a bean counter. The ironic part is I dislike math in general, like silly, complicated math that I'll never understand why we had to learn certain things in high school and stuff, like where do we use that type of math? But for fundamental counting, I do like to be a bean counter with food. Here's an example. Suppose you enjoy eggs. Eggs usually run a dozen in a box, 12, 18, 36. Know your lifestyle. Do you eat 2 eggs a day? Do you guaranteed? Are you on a low carb plan and need plenty of eggs? Plan that ahead. Include that in your grocery haul. And when you make that grocery haul, please assess what do you have already so that you don't duplicate shopping, and you could hold that money either for spending somewhere else or literally saving. I believe it was yesterday's show, and if you missed yesterday's show, it's all about the importance of making a bunch of soup that you can control and custom tailor for your needs, especially people watching their sodium. I can't see spending a lot of money on lower sodium soup, for example, when that could be easily, again, manufactured by yourself at home. Think about that for a minute. And as always, you could always, for a quick meal, you could always take leftover veggies, put it on top of a baked potato, and voila, you got yourself a little meal. You don't even have to have meat. Concentrate if you can't seem to hit that 15 protein, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't get 15 types of meat divided up. You're not going to get 15 different meats. You're going to work with just a few, and you're going to plump them up. But the thing is this, if you're not a meat eater, or if you just want to cut down on spending on meat, go for it. Just do the old vegetable swap out. And if you, for example, make a meatloaf, plump it up. Plump it up with some sliced bread that might be a little bit on the day old type side. Soak in a little bit of milk or egg. Put your favorite seasonings in it. Let it sit there, and then carefully combine it. It might get messy. The best tools with cooking, especially meatloafs, I hate to tell you this, are your actual hands. So you smush it together. Smush, is that a technical word? I don't know, but it works. Put it together, make your loaves, freeze one, you got yourself a future meal. The ideal is conquer and divide. So plan, go to the grocery store, figure out your savings, go for the best prices. You have to read them, you have to know them, and that's it. We can do this. We are empowered warriors. Never forget that. The kings and queens of meal planning, right? There you go. In the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thank you so much for watching. Why? Because I really do appreciate you. Don't forget to come back in the future for some more savings tips and tricks. I'm on Monday through Friday, every single day at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, except for Tea Tuesday, of which I am on at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't forget to come back for that. I'm going to close out the show and come back with a wave. Be right back. Have an amazing remainder of the weekend. See you again real soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.